So this is Baruch Fleischman here with the Tikkun Elevator Kola with the 17th Shir on Shara Kabbanos. These are the words of the Holy Ari. Some of them not so easy to understand, but we do have the book and we have the words, and we're able to see that the actual language of the Hebrew of the Ari is very easy. But the concept that he's dealing with, they're not necessarily so easy. In this 17th Shir, let's look over here, and it says, Bir lama sha'amra hashem Megillas Esther ain't the betela la'olam. It's never will be nullified. Let's see what what the Rav says. L'chein la'asi devo in the future, kol hasfarim yizbatlu. There will be no need for books, except with the exception of the Megillas Esther. Now, if we understand this, and this is what I'm looking for, the word Megillah is a word from the Gilui, means revelation. So we understand it means the revelation of the Ataras Yesod of Abba, which protects everything. It's more powerful, the most powerful, wonderful light. This actually happened during this period of time, and it happens regularly, except it doesn't last. But we understand there's something special about Purim. So here's the Megillah Esther. So what is Vatamhu? So the reason why is Gila Olam. There was never a miracle that was greater than this. Not for Shabbos, not for Yom Tov. In order to be able to establish and continue this light, even after that the mochin are removed from the nekeva. Now remember, real quick drawing, that we said that if we had Zer Anpin and the nukva side by side, so we'll say this is Zah is bigger, right? And the nukva is over here. It was that the mochin came in from up above into Zer Anpin, and they got transferred one way or another into the nukva, and that's the way things went. But in this case of the Dormita, the mochin come out of Zer Anpin instead, or he goes to sleep, and the mochin go into the nukva. But the Ataras Yesod of Abba is much longer. It's too long because it normally fit right down here to the bottom of the Yesod of Zer Anpin, but now it's too long for that, so it goes through, and it's shining, beautiful light coming out from it. This light is a very powerful light. So he said, well, what happens then? And the next thing that happens, let's draw him again, is that the nukva, the light, the mochin that are in the nukva leave and they go back into Zer Anpin. But because of the fact that the nukva has been built up by these lights, she's not there anymore. She's in a different place. She's face to face with him now. Now she is here, and eventually she's going to grow up more or less to his full height. And that is this is Zachar, and this is Nuk, and eventually they will mate. That's what's going to happen. So we're going to talk about what is the miracle. So that's here now. Even so now, there's still the mochin are still coming into Zer Anpin and going into the nukva. Let's not forget that. So it goes, first case is that the mochin need Zer Anpin and they go into the nukva. Second case is that the Ataras Yesod of Zer Anpin is too long. But then the whole thing comes back out, goes back into Zer Anpin, and now the nukva, though, has been built up, and she comes to the front. This is called face-to-face. This is their faces now, are facing each other right here. So I hope this is something you could look at and try to get a little idea of the relativity of the situation that we're looking at. And here's what, back to the Rav again. So now the mocha, the nekeva has been built up. Purim bilvad. There's something special happens only here. The Bechina this aspect. Yesh Yisron Godel al Purim. There's a tremendous advantage that Purim has. Al Kar Shach Yamin Levila B'Shvasas V'Yom Tovim, even Shabbos and Yom Tov. So V'Hinech B'Kol Shana B'Mecha Purim. So it says like this: every year during the days of Purim, Gedei the Kayim Ma'ara Nizkaris. So now that we understand this tremendous light which protected us and really destroyed Haman, he says this light is now back into the original condition that he is that Zachar and Nuk are now back to back again, and that's the normal case. But here, but there is something about the light of this Yesod that is important to know. So therefore we have to do 3 mitzvos in order to sustain this light. V'heim kriyas and Megillah. One is reading the Megillah, because we understand that Megillah is the opposite of the concept of revealing the light of the Ataras Yesod of Mordechai. Kedei lahamshik v'lagalus ha'arach ha'nizkeres, in order to be able to extend and to reveal this ha'ara that were mentioned here. Hayotzes l'chutz begiloi, which goes out in Giloi where everybody can see it. Let's read some more. So he said, V'hinei tzrichus, so we have one, reading the Megillah. The next is Beis Bechinus Acheres, there's two other things. V'heim Elo. Harishon Bechina Ha'aras Yisod Hu Abba Barachel. So the first one, let's remember, it refers to the Ataras of Yisod of Abba, and it's shining into Rachel. L'tzorach Tikun Binyan Partzufa. So it's inside of Rachel and it builds her up. So we see that the Mochin come into Rachel. As they leave Zer Anpin, they go into Rachel, and we also know that they go back parts of a Kniska in order to grow her up, to make her into a parts. So the idea of giving to Rachel comes when we start giving gifts to Evyonim. Rachel nikras ani ve'evyon, because Rachel is called poor, and really poor. For Yesod the Abba nikra tzaddik, but the Yesod of Abba is called a tzaddik. So you have something that is totally destitute, and then you have this ultimate giver on her side. Those are not tzedakah. He gives her tzedakah. What's the tzedakah? Matanas of ha'aros. That is his gifts, which are what? The radiances that come from his ataras Yesod. V'zera miskayim al yedei Sha'anu noisning the mata matanas of yodim. And how do we do this? In the kavana over there, when you're giving gifts, is the concept of the giving that Abba, and also tremendous tzedakah that he has to this poor Malchus, which has nothing of her own. And through this mitzvah, we make something similar to it up above. So mitzvah Sudas Purim, so I'm going to skip that, and I'm going to go over to this little place over here. Let's see, 1 second. Let me see if I can find a place. So let's continue on where we're going to talk about here the Seder Kavanas Achida V'Shtiya. So it says like this, V'zu inyan Achida V'Shtiya. This is the concept of eating and drinking on Purim. K'mavur etzleinu, Sh'hamochim shal nekeva nikra yak. They're called Yud K and Yud K. What does this mean? It means Chochma Bina. How does that work? The whole thing is made out of this aspect called Yud K. And how, in fact, does this come into the nook? Now we're talking about transferring. We talked about giving to her. Okay, we're giving to her this tremendous light. It's a tzedakah. And now we're talking about feeding her and exactly what it is we're giving her. So this is the concept of eating. Eating, which is the word achila. Separate the words out. You have the word achol, which means eating, and yud k. So we still have to discover what this means, so we'll look at it later. Shtiya is called shas yud k. So in other words, drink yud k. Ki al yedecha maichel, because through the food that we eat on Purim, v'hamishta, and the feast that we have, nimshachim lo mochim v'nikra yak, then comes poured down into the nook for these mochim. These mochim, which are the mochim of Abba ve'ima. That's basically what it is that we said left Zer Anpin, where he fell asleep, and they came into the nukva. Let me find this very hard to read. B'milas achila. So let's see this also in the word achila. Sheba gematria adni, because it turns out that it's named the gematria as adni, which is 65 imakoil. Let's add it up. This is 1 and 20, 21, 31, 61, 66. So you take the name Adni, add a kolel, it comes out to the same word as achila. So achila is a malchus dika word, he says. Ramazki elo hamochim shal yak is to tell you that these mochim that come from Yud K, hanimshachim b'yidera b'achila, that are extended through this achila, hey b'nekeva hanikras Adni. They come from the female aspect, which is called Adni, and we're going to learn more about this next year.